And a very warm welcome to the Copa Libertadores, the semi-final second leg. The Copa Libertadores, a phrase that conjures up marvelous images of football, world football at its very best. Club football, of course, dignified and honored by Sao Paulo, who will be playing here tonight as the world club champions, playing in that man-made mist, which I think is an indication of the emotional outburst of a crowd, a 40,000 crowd, by the way. It's a total sellout in the stadium, and the stadium, of course, tonight in Asunción Defensores del Chaco. And these 40,000 people will be trying to find out if, in fact, Sao Paulo can be pulled back from that 2-1 lead from the first leg. The Brazilian side stunned in the opening 9 minutes by number 9, Cardoso there, who scored appropriate enough in the 9th minute, and an opening goal that caught the Brazilian goalkeeper Zeti in no man's land. A very good team that in terms of defensive qualities, which is what we saw in the first game. How they're going to play, having to take the initiative in a game, of course, remains one of these unpredictables. We'll find out very shortly about that. And then, of course, the Brazilians fought back. Palinha scoring from the penalty spot, a rather softishly awarded penalty, I thought, at the time. But anyway, he stepped up and took it. The equalizer coming in the second half. And then that World Cup man, Muller, who's played in 3 World Cups, snatching the winner to make it 2-1 eventually. And now here, Paraguay looking towards this club again to make their name once more full of distinction, because Paraguay national football is not perhaps as renowned as the club itself. Olimpia have already been world champions, and they aspire to that again. World champions in 1979. That's when they beat Malmo, who replaced Nottingham Forest, and they were runners-up against AC Milan, beaten 3-0 by them in 1990. So that is a marvelous club record. The referee tonight, Alberto Tejada from Peru, World Cup referee. We've seen him before in various tournaments, including the tournament I'm sure you watched on Eurosport a couple of seasons ago. And that, of course, was the Copa America. Listen to that crowd in the background. And you can imagine how important it's going to be for not only referees but goalkeepers as well in an atmosphere like this. As I said, we know full well how Olimpia can play in defense. After having snatched that early goal in the first game in the Morumbi Stadium, they got everybody behind the ball. They worked particularly hard in midfield. Sanabria playing very well, Franco and Sotelo. They brought in tonight, there's 2 changes in the team. Number 19, Guerlain, has come in, and number 24, Miguel Sanabria. So 2 Sanabrias playing in this game. Sao Paulo are completely unchanged. And they're the referee for tonight. This is a tournament, of course. It's associated with rather tempestuous temperament, but we didn't see that in the first leg. We saw a lot of good, solid football, and as I said at the time of the first commentary, it was rather Europeanized football, well organized, a lot of players in midfield, and both sides excellent on the breakaway. The Brazilians looked particularly inept in the first half, but then again, I think they'd been rather shocked by that goal, and consequently they couldn't get their act together, and did in the second half when they put enormous pressure on the Olimpia side. The Copa Libertadores has had a rather checkered history. Started in 1960, of course. It's varied in its structure, dominated, curious enough, by teams from around the River Plate in both nations. Listen to these names: Independiente, Peñarol, Nacional, Estudiantes, all coming from around the River Plate basin. It started off as a pure knockout tournament, then went to a league system. Nothing satisfied the Brazilians, who, like in the Copa America, have a very poor record considering their national pedigree. Very poor record in this tournament. It's now 5 groups of 4, and Olimpia, the team you'll be seeing tonight, there we are there, getting ready to start this game. in their checkered shirts. Oops. Well, there are all kinds of ways of getting into a football match. I haven't tried that one yet. A little light touch on an occasion which I think will be extremely tense throughout. And the Peruvian referee starting the game to loud roars from the home crowd. And a punishing header away immediately there by Junior Baiano. Play to the outside. I think we'll see a lot of good running by Sanabria down the right-hand side, backed up by Sotelo. Sotelo, you saw there, was playing a lot on the left in the first game. I think that might have varied the tactics slightly. Caceres with the throw. That's taken by Andre. Andre, a tall, long striding player, and I think a coach likes this sort of player in his side because he made several runs of 40, 50, 60 yards in the first game, taking the pressure off his defense, and he did it at pace. He's a very useful player. You see him hugging this left touchline. That is if Brazil play exactly the same kind of structure, and I think they will. The Brazilian side, Sao Paulo, the World Club champions. Nicely intercepted there as Valverde came forward, free kick. Senor Tejada right up with the play there. Little touch back there to Zeti, who I think was at fault in the first goal that was scored in the first leg by Cardozo. Cardozo, very good player. He was left on his own a lot. Part of the modern tactic when you're playing away from home to get a rugged ball winner and holder onto the ball to play up front on his own, and that's what he did very successfully. They certainly cannot play that tactic tonight all the same. The emphasis is on scoring goals. They are 2-1 behind. Olimpia and the black and white here. Nicely touched back there as Sotelo got little touched it out, and out comes Zeti. You'll see a lot of Sanabria. You saw a flash of his number there, number 15, Sanabria, picking up in midfield. Vidal Sanabria. I think many people consider him to be the star player. And I think they'll be holding their breath. That looked a little like a double block to me from the Brazilian player. That was Gilmar. In any case, talking about Sanabria, he was yellow carded in the first match. And will the referee bring out his card here for that challenge? Oh, I don't think it was quite as bad as the player made it out to be. Gilmar, the player I was mentioning there, coming hard up. Free kick taken there by Sotelo, about to be. Angel Sotelo. While Zeti, the understudy to the great Tafarel, looking none too sure with that one. Little bit of a tumble there by Muller. Takes a lot to put him on the deck. Very much a kind of, if I could put it this way, un-Brazilian player, much more like a typical European runner. Broad-shouldered, difficult to dispossess. And Muller's great strength, of course, is that bust in about this area here. He can look so ordinary in matches, and then suddenly over that last 10 yards into the penalty area, he breaks away, as he did in the first leg. Up came Gilmar for that. Free kick, and in a very interesting position for Sao Paulo. Deliberate push, yes, no doubt about that. And Vitor will slide us in right across. And I think the goalkeeper, Battaglia, who was very, very good in the first leg, allowed his defense to look after that. And I think he made a mistake with it. Watch it. I think he felt a defender ought to have picked that up. And looking at that again, maybe he's right. Well, number 2, Caceres, you'll see him tackling like that. He's also very, very good getting forward. A lot of pace, and Zeti tested again. And there can be little doubt about Sao Paulo's capacity to play defensive football. It's exactly that they did when they beat Milan in the final in Tokyo. They had about 4 or 5 breakaways and scored with 3 of them. Totally outplayed in midfield, and the Italians missed chance after chance, and hence the trophy went to a side that looked decidedly un-Brazilian. Vitor. Not a very good push forward there, and of course Sao Paulo without the great Cafu. Cafu injured, unable to play in this game, and he would have added tremendous armory on the right. To my mind, just as good an attacking fullback as Leonardo and Jorginho. Leonardo, of course, played for this club and then went off to Japanese football. They're minus Eli Belton and the great Cerezo, who's still playing his football, getting near 40 for Cruzeiro. So they've lost a lot of the core of their club, and it says a lot for them that they're 2-1 up in the second leg. 2-1 up from the first leg, and on the verge of the final. Long way to go yet there. Ayala given a yellow card for that. The referee is going to stand no nonsense. And obviously, well, at least from the indication of that, he's not a homer. Header in the air there by Cardozo. I would have expected Cardozo would have been given a little more support. So far, just lying in behind him, the other Sanabria, Miguel Sanabria. And coming up, Cardozo in the penalty area, and Sotelo. And I think the crowd a little bit annoyed at the time wasting. As I said, there's a long, long way to go yet. The first really attacking move, first piece of enterprise we've seen from Olimpia. All a bit of a tangle in midfield. And Palinha did the right thing, just pushing that all the way back. Nicely touched back there. Cardozo had come deep. Picked up there by Guilherme. And Brazil fighting very hard for it in midfield, and they get a free kick out of that. That was Palinha going down, and I think the referee is obviously quite intent on stamping this out. Palinha has got to be watched though. His burst from midfield can be mercurial and effective. Played forward by Valber. While they're keeping the two forwards up there, Muller and Euler, to little effect so far. Free kick. Put forward by Gilmar. Lack of invention about that. It looked a little bit like jersey pulling and an appeal for a penalty there, which the referee just turns away from. Well, there was a bit of a wrestling match going on. There's little doubt about that. Now, I wonder if he put the referee off by embellishing this at the end. Well, there was body contact. Now, I wonder if in the World Cup, under the strictures there and the close scrutiny of FIFA, a penalty kick would have been given for that. I suspect so. It was Junior Baiano. Really very awkward going into the tackle. Good breakaway. While a touch of controversy there, I think Olimpia slightly unfortunate. And after all the talk we've had about a new era dawning, with the referees clamping down on the tackle from the back and on rough play, we're back to reality now, and we've seen it across European football as well. The change has meant a lot of yellow cards and red cards, but one wonders if there will be the consistency that goes with it. I doubt that very much. Anyway, the Peruvian referee Alberto Tejada, who has a very good track record, by the way, wants to stamp his authority on that, and he's having no nonsense. I think he certainly raised the ire of the Olympian players. Palinha to the side. Picked up by Vitor. And all their moves so far breaking down just about there. Axel had whipped that forward. Good, hard-working midfield. Axel, Palinha, Andre, all very impressive players. Free kick, and I think there's going to be a yellow card, yes. Just watch this tackle, and there, well, he certainly showed him 6 studs. Franco gets it. So Ayala and Franco after 14 minutes. These are the 2 yellow cards so far. Got to be very careful about this, and this is part of the new trend. They've got to take them off now, and I think that's happening everywhere around the world, and it's not such a bad idea. I think it also discourages some of the play actors. Some of the people who just simply want to halt the flow of opposition play, especially if they're in ascendancy. And the game is rather degenerated at this stage. I think the pattern has gone out of Olimpia's play in particular, and of course Sao Paulo still leading by 2-1 from the first leg, would be quite happy about that. All they're playing for is the breakaway, as Vitor tried to pick that up. There we are, 15 minutes gone in this first half. Still no scoring, still 2-1 on aggregate. And Sao Paulo in these garishly striped shirts are holding the fort quite well. Apart from that little incursion into the box, which I think Junior Baiano against Guerland looked as if under other circumstances might have produced a penalty. That's the only real anxiety they've felt. Oh, there was a deliberate push. Surely, surely, surely. A bust forward there by Caceres. And isn't he a stern-looking customer? Alberto Tejada, the referee. Well, there's another interesting angle for you. A bit of play acting going on. And there, a yellow card. I think this time to Ramirez. Yes, indeed. Well, they've now had 3 men yellow carded. That is not a good indication of the way things are going. Ayala, Franco, and Ramirez all yellow carded in the first 16 minutes of this game. And the onus on Olimpia, they are 2-1 behind. Nice little flick forward by Franco. Franco, the fulcrum in midfield. A lot of the play going through him, number 6. Well, I'll leave the crowd to comment on that. You can hear the derisory whistles in the background. You see, they have to play a different kind of game. The structure isn't all that altered. Cardozo's not been given all that much help and supply up front by Olimpia. They're wanting to break from midfield. But in the previous game, they didn't need that kind of break. All they wanted to do was hold on to the ball. And now I think they're getting slightly frustrated by Sao Paulo's tactics in midfield, closing them down quickly. That's Sotelo putting it in, and there, Zeti, looking as Juarez had a close look at goal there. And unfortunately for Olimpia, they haven't had as much of that as they should. And I think the cut across him there by Axel put him off. Well, now, interesting substitution now. It looks like Thiago is about to come on for Axel, the player I was talking about. Might have hurt himself as he went across to defend there. And off he goes. Thiago is now in his place. Thiago, number 25. And well worked there. There's the indication of the change. By my watch, just under 20 minutes played in the first half. There's still no scoring. And this will suit Sao Paulo. The more it stays like this, the added will be the frustration. And there is nothing worse for a home side with a crowd possibly getting on their backs if things don't go their way. Little cluster of players there. Almost like a flock of birds going after crumbs. And up. We're down there to Franco, gives it away this time. He's normally very good in midfield, but these balls, the breakaway. Müller, that's the pace I was talking about in this area. Lacking a little bit of support though. Does get it back. Gets it back, and Gilmar swinging that in. Look down there to Thiago getting his first touch of the ball. Played out, and I think they were hoping that Müller was coming up on the left. Set in there by Thiago, and they were appealing that there were hands used as Euler, the man who's supporting Müller, tried to turn it round with the side of his foot. Well, that's verification of that time I was giving. Just over 20 minutes now of the first half gone. There's no scoring in the second leg. 2-1 down. The team in white, Olimpia, from the first leg. And that defense, I must say, Junior Viano, Valbert, Gilmar looking very solid, and both fullbacks, Vitor and Gilmar, quite prepared to make sudden runs on either side. Nice little flick forward there, and it was being picked up by Sotelo. Sanabria, free kick. Taken by Caceres. I like Caceres. Aggressive, good pace. Watch this again. Look at the way he's going in there. He was never going to lose that ball. And the Brazilians fighting very hard in midfield. That ball pushed out there excellently by Thiago. And already the substitute making his mark felt. Back had come Palinha. There's Palinha between the two Olympian players. And they'll be trying to avoid the possession that Palinha likes about 30, 40 yards from goal when he takes off on these runs of his. And so far, apart from one or two bursts like this, Olimpia have looked rather inept. And all they're trying to do is push it way up the front to either Müller or Euler. I must say, halfway through this first half, the crowd is still very much behind Olimpia, only the one goal in it. Well, it looked like Gilmar put the boot up far too high there. Yes, free kick. Sotelo will take this. They're not terribly fond of the long high ball into the penalty area, of course. It doesn't mean all that much to them. They're certainly not dab hands at it, as you could see from that. That was a very anemic finish. And watch the Brazilian goalkeeper Zeti there. Just try to show the rest that he's under no pressure, quite cool and relaxed about things, taking his time about it. The Brazilians, of course, are trying to become the first Brazilian side to win this trophy 3 years in a row. Rather curious that even the great Santos, when Pelé was playing for them, didn't achieve that either. They had a couple of wins in successive years. And now beautifully put forward by Sotelo. And Sanabria. Wrong side. That was, in fact, a very negative finish. I'm just wondering if you'll see a player losing his nerve in a slow-motion replay. Oh yes, that really should have been cut back. "20 minutes of this first half left. No, I think they'll do better picking up on mistakes like that. The burst forward by Suarez. There he comes, a 1-2, just paying off. Suarez on the attack, and a very good recovery indeed by Vitor, who had made that initial mistake. Push on by Sotelo, looking again for the 1-2. It comes to him. Oh, I think that might have been touched by Zeti. It certainly hit the woodwork eventually. The pressure on him for the first time. That Sao Paulo defense looked as if it were buckling. And it was fired in so rapidly, it was difficult to tell whether it was a touch. Now then, I think we might be able to tell from this. There it was. Oh. Well, I'm plumping for the fact that the goalkeeper got his fingertips to that. In any case, the nearest chance in the game so far. Excellent move by Olimpia. The trouble with Olimpia is they haven't been able to sustain that kind of attacking. Their approach to the penalty area has been very neat. But what's the use of that if they can't get the penetration? And I can recall in the 27 minutes that we played, Zeti being asked to make two worthwhile saves, and that one I'm sure goes down as a save and was more than worthwhile. There are two Sanabrias in the game, by the way, number 15 and number 24, both coming forward. Sanabria goes wide on the right and the left occasionally. That is Vidal. Sanabria, a yellow card. And that's Andre. Almost 28 minutes gone, and a very crude challenge there by Andre. We haven't seen him as the attacking force he was in the first leg. It is still 2-1 though to the visitors, Sao Paulo, in the striped shirts. I think Sao Paulo delighted to have held out in that last couple of minutes. A home team under circumstances like these. Zeti loses that. The first mistake he's made. And you could tell from the inclination of Sanabria, that's the player I was talking about. Watch him coming up on this. Really quick on the uptake. The goalkeeper committed himself. A very awkward bounce. And that was an excellent effort. And Zeti yellow carded, and I think it must have been for complaining as he raced towards the referee there. So 5 players booked, and the trend of yellow cards being sprinkled like confetti around world football since the World Cup continues. Well, I must say, it seemed to me that Sanabria dug in retaliation there. I'm not quite sure if the referee had been looking at him or was trying to deal with Zeti, the Brazilian goalkeeper. But that looked like a quite cynical retaliation by Sanabria. And the upshot is still no scoring in the second leg, still 2-1 to the team in the striped shirts, the visitors Sao Paulo. If you're just joining us, you're watching the semi-final second leg of the Copa Libertadores. Asuncion, the place, 40,000 the crowd, and the attack by Olimpia. 15 minutes of this first half remaining. And that shot, well-balanced shot there indeed. Cardozo, I must say, very mobile, and when he gets his head down over the ball like that, his shooting is accurate. Well, I'm not sure about that free kick. Referee, I think, a little fussy. Well, as I said, Olimpia really have to keep this pressure up. They have been growing in confidence in the last 10 minutes, and still this goal survives intact. Flicked on there by Sotelo towards Cardozo. The whistle goes, free kick. And listen to the crowd in the background, I think anticipating that there are just little glimmers of hope here as this Brazilian defense looked quite unsettled at times, and there's been more possibility of penetration by Olimpia, as we've seen from these shots we've had. Little bounces of optimism on the terracings. And the shot there, coming in from Franco, coming up from the back. And yet again, Zeti will take his time about this. Just about 13 minutes remaining of this first half. A semi-final that's turned out to be a kind of war of attrition in midfield. And it's only in the last 10 minutes that Olimpia have been able to break out of that mold and look a bit more inventive in front of goal. Oh, that is a desperate tackle there by Caceres. Now what's the referee going to do about it? Nothing. And didn't I say something about lack of consistency right at the start? I'm all in favor of the referees being told to stop things like that if they can stop things like that, and palpably they can't at times. Caceres is lucky to stay on the field after that. Makes you wonder when somebody is booked for dissent and then you see something as cynical as that and he gets away with it. Zeti should cover this. The rhythm has gone out of Sao Paulo. Had a lot of possession in midfield in the first 15 minutes of the game, and now they've been brushed aside like this. Olimpia turning on the physical side of the game, and I did mention, I think earlier on, that Caceres is a rather tough customer, number 2. Played there to the other Sanabria. Try to push it inside. And good support by that defense, as Thiago got that ball away, and I think a free kick. Taken by Ramirez. And by my watch, exactly 10 minutes of the first half remaining. There's no score in the game. 2-1 on aggregate. Olimpia on the attack. Sanabria to the side. Franco tries to come up. Whipped away there by Baiano, or Junior as he's more often called. And there they're looking for the break, and it comes. And there's a little flick round there by Muller, and Muller and Iula on the break, as I said. When the ball is played just behind the defense like that, are very, very quick. And he tried to chip the goalkeeper well off target, though. Iula with that rapid buzz just in behind the defender, Ayala. Put forward by Palhinha. Certainly nothing happening for Sao Paulo in midfield. This time to get a little break. Picked up deep by Palhinha, gets support. Vitor. Palhinha wants to go. Vitor, nice little run round the side. Can he cut it back? No, beautifully cut off there. Ramirez sticking out his leg. Still nothing each on the night. While this Brazilian defense has had some hairy moments, but it hasn't exactly been a torrid time for them. Nice little break inside, and you could see the confused look between Cardozo and Sanabria. They made a change there. Cardozo was playing with another man called Del Valle up front in the first leg in Sao Paulo. Lack of understanding there, and there's still no scoring. It's gone well for Sao Paulo. They've had a little bit of luck. They might have had a penalty given against them. And from my angle, the goalkeeper touched the ball onto the post. But then I doubt if I've seen a team playing away from home under these kind of circumstances, which doesn't need great slices of luck from time to time. Vitor. And really no support did he get. Iula had come back. Nudged forward by Gilmar. All gone rather quiet in midfield again. Palhinha picks it up. Vitor on the outside. Looking for Muller. Muller has been really well marked. Well, they got out of that defensive situation beautifully by keeping possession like that. Watch it. It was close passing stuff. Had to be accurate, and it paid off for them. The problem is, it gets them nowhere near the other goal. So I did say they looked a very solid side defensively in the first leg, and somehow or other, I think that is the basic pattern. They are a defensive team by nature, and they're finding it difficult to lay siege to this goal. Goes around forward again. Iula goes for it. Now just about 5 minutes to half time. Sao Paulo's manager, the famous Tele Santana. He's been up and down off the bench, roaring his words of wisdom, and he's one of the cutest managers in the business, with the World Cup side in 82 and 86, of course. And now pushed out Cardozo, out to Sotelo, and that will never do. They're quite annoyed about that finish, the crowd, and we weren't hearing that at the start, and this is now taking a kind of predictable pattern. The crowd are getting, or the natives are getting restless, as we might say. And they're making no headway at all now. These two players, number 9 Cardozo and Miguel Sanabria, number 24, really are being outnumbered. Franco lays it off. Caceres, got to be an early ball, and it is. Well, Junior had to get to it. He just took the sting out of it. And nothing now, Sao Paulo up front with about 3.5 minutes remaining, as I make it, of this first half. Still no scoring. And I think they'll have to push more players forward. That's where they're missing out at this stage. Well, the way in that far side, Guilherme had picked it up. Hasn't been much in the game. Well, all these players that one would have thought would have threatened from midfield, Sanabria, Franco, Guilherme and Sotelo, looking rather toothless at the moment. There's the 1-2 charge forward there. Ramirez deciding to come up. And this is where they're failing. In midfield like that, Franco pushed that back to Suarez. And no pressure again on Zeti. It's all very well sending a high ball like that to the edge of the penalty area for somebody to head it across. But where was the support? Well, with the bookings we've had so far, it's not been a violent game, but it's been a niggly game. There have been all sort of little bickering feuds going on, which may yet erupt, even though the referee, Alberto Tejado from Peru, looks a very mean hombre. I wouldn't like to mix with him. Hooked away by Caceres. And the Brazilians will be delighted that so much has turned out to be inept by Olimpia. It really is a sign of the night that Cardozo and Sanabria have not had sustained service up front. Now Franco. There we are, that's why they've been cut off so easily. Muller on his own, battling away. Now that was better play. Yala puts it forward. Hooked high in air by Sotelo. Suarez. Well, Franco trying to give that support from midfield. Sotelo, little bust forward. Guilherme. You can hear what they think of that now. This is turning out to be dreadfully disappointing for Olimpia. And the work of frustrating them in midfield has paid off handsomely for Sao Paulo. Haven't seen very much of them up front, and the work that's being done is effective work whilst backtracking by Doriva, Palinha, Thiago since he came on for Axel, and on the left in particular Andre, who I think he's hiding his light under a bushel by instructions because he's naturally an aggressive forward-going player. Certainly saw that in the first leg. The neat build-up. Well picked up. I think the whistle goes. It does indeed, bringing to an end, as you can tell from, if not exactly the cathedral silence, certainly a much more muted crowd. They might be letting off some firecrackers, but verbally I think they're rather choked within. They've seen 2 or 3 incidents in the game. The claim for the penalty halfway through that first half, the shot against the post that I think came off the goalkeeper's fingertips. Apart from that, a successful negating game by Sao Paulo. They still lead 2-1 in aggregate. The whole of the second half coming up. Welcome back to the start of the second half of the second leg of the semi-final of the Copa Libertadores. No scoring in the first 45 minutes, which is to the great advantage of the Brazilian side. Sao Paulo playing away from home here in Assumption in the Defensore del Chaco Stadium in front of 40,000, because they are still leading by 2-1. And the team playing from right to left in the black and white sort of went off in a rather bedraggled mood, rather bemused by the fact that he couldn't get to grips with a very good workmanlike and sensible Brazilian side. Not indulging in any unnecessary flamboyance, just working steadily and soberly away, and it's worked out for them. A second half that I think would run away from Olimpia. They cannot convert a lot of the possession they've had in midfield into something like menace inside the penalty area, and they certainly didn't do that in the first 45 minutes. Fullback Vitor, you'll see him, well, at least trying occasionally to pierce, although they've been obviously told to be very cautious about and selective about coming forward. Hooked away forward by Guerland. Nicely picked up in midfield. Andre put that down. Vitor. They'll just be happy to knock the ball about like that. That was a bit careless, though. Paraguay have won this tournament twice through this team Olimpia. And Brazil, despite the fact that they're renowned for their international football, have won this tournament only half the number of times of Argentina. And even Uruguay, much smaller nation, have one more win than the Brazilians. Stadium rather more subdued. Well, that's a bit of ball down, and that's a great save. Shot there by Sanabria. And Zeti again showing how alert he is tonight. I'm not terribly fond of him for cross balls. He seems a little bit suspect for them, but he's a good instinctive goalkeeper, as he demonstrated there. Ooh, that was most unfortunate. Ramirez, I think, getting his head to that. And now that's twice if it would work. The luck is not going their way. I think the Paraguayans will be using much stronger language than that to sum up what the fates are doing to them. Watch it again. It should have gone in the back of the net. They really did deserve this. Ramirez launching himself at that. Rather officious looking linesman on this side, and in the space of 3 minutes, Olimpia could have been in front. 2 glorious chances, and that might give them heart for this game. Sanabria, looked away by Palinha. Across comes Caceres. There he is again. Nice little flick back, and a little bit of hesitation by Valder, but eventually he got it away. The crowd liking this, though. They're being told, right, they've got to put the emphasis now on getting balls quickly into the penalty area. I think at the moment they're eschewing the passing game in midfield and taking the short route. I was mentioning the dominance of Argentinian clubs in this tournament, the Copa Libertadores. 15 times Argentinian clubs have won it, Independiente 7. But rather curiously, since 91, as the whistle goes, and a yellow card, this time I think Gilmar. Let's watch this being pushed through. Hand right up there. Free kick in a very interesting place. As I said, since 91, all the American Cups, South American Cups in existence have been won by Brazilian teams. So they're in dominance at the moment. Now can Olimpia strike back? They're 2-1 on aggregate down from the first leg. Still no scoring. And 5 minutes of the first half gone. He tries to curl it round. The shot there by Guirland. And Zeti has already proved that his vision is 2020 tonight. Zeti strongly away there by Sanabria, the other Sanabria in midfield. Vitor. He tried to wait until he got support and it didn't come. And Guirland beautifully tackled there by Junior. Hooked high in the air by Caceres. Trying to get that right down the side. Well, that's great play as Muller tried to force his way through 2 opponents, which he can do so well. One thing about Muller, he of course found it very difficult to get into the Brazilian team with Romario and Bebeto there, but if necessary, the Brazilians could always have brought him on for that muscular play of his. Saw a little evidence of it there. Well, Cardozo coming back deeper there, tried to get that ball flicked away forward by Sanabria. And I'm sure the Olympians beginning to feel a little frustrated again that the grain went against them in that opening 2 minutes where they could so easily have scored a couple of goals. Linesman on the far side, you probably saw a glimpse of him right on the spot, offside. Well, seeing is believing. When you tell people you're doing the Copa Libertadores and you're mentioning teams like Sao Paulo and Paraguayan teams like Olimpia, you're thinking of a kind of very flamboyant, exciting, flowing game, but you've seen it yourself. This is the kind of modern football that's worldwide now. Good structure, strong midfield, emphasis on breakaways. And indeed, that's how Brazil won the World Cup. Taken right round the outside by Andre, beginning to push forward a little more now. There he is. And that's better by Andre. He's looking for the 1-2. And a bad move there by, I think it was Iula, because Andre was quite annoyed. He didn't get the clean 1-2 from him. You could see that. He gesticulated. And that's putting it politely. Caceres for Olimpia. And elements of self-doubt must be creeping into their play. Still a long way to go. 8.5 minutes played in the second half. But there's always a fear. By the way, can I point out, in case you didn't know, that away goals do not count double in this tournament. And they're the usual cluster of players in midfield again. Put the way forward by Suarez. Beautiful play there. Paulinho brought that down. Played forward by, right out to Caceres there. Now the break. Looked a fairly obvious one, but he got it through. Muller charging in and go. Can he put it across? Great miss there. Oh dear, oh dear. What a missed opportunity. I wonder if it had been much more effective instead of pushing it to Iula had he gone himself. I praised Muller for these kinds of runs, that almost pugilistic kind of play of his, as if he's wanting to take an opponent on, and rather modestly gave the ball away. Certainly the pass forward not good enough. But then again, they've intimated that they can break away, and that I'm sure will put the fear of death into the coach, Gustavo Benitez of Olimpia. He's got to keep that back door firmly shut. And I think that largely comes through concentration and good man marking. Nicely played to the side. Andre gave it plenty beef there as he went in. One of the tallest players in the field. I'm quite sure we'll see him in a Brazilian international jersey in the future. He's only 22 years of age. Little burst from midfield as Thiago tried to pick it up. And now Iula. Well, that's twice. He said freedom on the right, and he'll get a free kick for that. He will indeed. Watch it coming in. Oh, he knew exactly what he was doing. Well, I think you've seen the equivalent of a football mugging. Watch it. Oh, no way he was going to allow Iula to get past him. Haven't seen much of Bataglia in this game. This will be taken by Paulinho. Joined the club 4 years ago. And the goalkeeper hesitated and really stretched to get that. Junior got his head to it. And out comes the Olimpia defense. Little space here though. Vitor. Well, that's the way to take them on, and that I would have judged to be a free kick again. And Olimpia looking slightly vulnerable in this left side of defense. I'm sure Telly Santana has been instructing them to do precisely that. Probe, probe, probe away. Well, that's a difficult bouncing ball. Look at the spin in it. Camley played. Andre. Neatly played out there by Caceres. Back it had gone to Franco, and listen to the whistling in the background again. Beautiful reverse pass. Andre coming in. Oh, he just hit it too far in front of him. And the Brazilians in their forays on both the left hand and right hand side are looking infinitely more dangerous now in the breakaway than Olimpia. We'll have to do something about this now. Almost 14 minutes gone in the second half, and the Brazilians still 2-1 in the lead on aggregate. That was Suarez. Well, you can see that is the alternative that Olimpia are offering to the attacks, which are much more cunningly built up by the Brazilians. Hook with the outside of the foot. Ooh, that must have been very close indeed. And you can see it's either Iula, number 11, or Muller, number 7, left to try and pierce the defense. We're getting substitutions again. And it's Campos and Guerlain changing. Campos is now on. Campos, by the way, reminds me of goalkeepers and reminds me of the new goalkeeping coach of Sao Paulo, Rojas, the Chilean goalkeeper. Remember that name? Remember the famous incident in '89 in the Maracanã when he and the Chilean goal decided to feign an injury and the whole team walked off the park, and they were suspended as blatantly cheating. Well, you can't say they're being uncharitable, the Brazilians, because they welcome Rojas, that very man, back to Sao Paulo to be the goalkeeping coach. Mark you, he's not been invited back to the Maracanã and to the Rio area. Rojas became the goalkeeping coach only the day before this game. I think he rather sliced that. But Andres had a much better second half, much more positive. I think really the Brazilians fancy the chances to snatch one here, becoming slightly more adventurous. And Olimpia as an attacking force have rather disappeared. Almost 17 minutes gone in the second half, and this is really suiting Sao Paulo. Oh, that's symptomatic of the way they've been playing, giving the ball and possession away so easily, and back very, very deep there was Palinha. Now that's a better move forward. Running in there was Sanabria. And look how well the Sao Paulo defense came back to cover. This is where they're cutting him off in midfield like that. Played by Franco. Out to the left to Sotelo. Trying to get a little space here, Sanabria. And a cluster of defenders in his way. Sotelo. Sanabria charging after that. Well covered though by Vitor. Referee having a little word in their ears. Six bookings so far. High in air by Caceres. And you can feel a real lowering of the temperature in this game. The visitors, if not in command of it, I think at the controls, know exactly what they're doing. They've had slices of luck in this game, but they're built on it. You just simply don't sit back and hope that fate will deliver you little turns every now and again. And playing just in front of the defense there. Beautiful stuff. Thiago coming away with it. Free kick. Well, I have to say, there have been spectacular moments in the game, but it's a very subdued performance by both sides, and I think largely because there's really no pressure in Sao Paulo, and they'll be quite content to sit in there, do nothing dramatic, play it steadily, don't do anything foolish in defence in particular, and consequently they still lead by 2-1 on aggregate. No goals on the evening. Again, Vitor comes away, plenty time, he did that very well. Slightly hesitated and I think gets protection from the referee for it. There we are, 20 minutes of the second half gone. And I think two players concerned about that there. I think they'll get on with it. 25 minutes of the game remaining. The Riva come back to take that. Free kick to Olimpia. So much at stake for both teams, and yet you just get the impression the game is dying on its feet. I said they're not trying to do anything fancy there as Junior hammered that away against the advertising hoardings. Put nicely back there as Ayala tried to put that in. A little bit of pressure on this defense again. Bad misjudgment there by Valverde as he came up. Caceres wanting to get on with the play. Nicely put in by Sanabria and hooked away from Cardozo. Crowd not liking it now. Trying to pick up on mistakes like this. Caceres. In there to Sanabria. Beautifully headed away by Junior. Tall defenders. Little bit of a mishap between he and Vitor. That's a better ball by Sotelo. And they still can't take advantage. Now a break on the left. It's Suarez. Back there by Guillen, Suarez. And yet again running out of ideas. Better push forward there as Franco goes in. And he was always going to scoop that up. You could tell by the way he was falling away to the left. What an excellent player he is, Franco, though. Good strong run, and he got the 1-2. Watch him just falling back. Always a difficult ball to take. Look at this again. Intelligent play there by Franco to beat that very tight defensive wall. And that's where the Brazilians are very good, breaking like this. Away goes Rilla. Oh, and he couldn't get any real weight behind that. But another warning shot across the bows of Olimpia. Sanabria. Ayala had come up and wasted that very badly. And now the crowd significantly beginning to turn against them. Played his part tonight, Zeti. Was in the Copa Libertadores team and did very well. Saved a penalty in the Copa Libertadores final against Newell's Boys in '92. Out on the left there, Andre with it again. As I said, what an excellent young player he is. Again, he's one of these Brazilians that I think have been influenced or selected by the coach because of the rather more straightforward way they play. Good defending, good strong running down the left. No free kick. Just about 20 minutes remaining. And apart from that opening 3 minutes when they had two glorious chances to open the scoring on the evening, Olimpia have done nothing. It's been enormously disappointing for them. That's not to say Battaglia at the other end has been busy. He's been really a spectator, but alas and alack, that's the way the modern game is played. Sao Paulo, no frills, no nonsense, just booted away, played safely. I like this player, Iula, good on the break. He's looking for Muller. Will he go himself? That could have done it. Brilliant run forward by Iula. And I think that defense may have thought he would have played it off to Muller, decided to go himself, and very reminiscent of the chance that Olimpia had in the first half that they missed. Except that I think there was more conviction about Iula's finish than the Olympian one. Shoot a goal. He worked that one out. And now the dead ball man, Palinha. He'll take all the free kicks and the corner kicks, and he judged that well. Oh, there was no way that Olimpia could have come back if a goal had been scored then. That would have been 3-1 and entry into the final itself. Now the break. Coming way back there to hook that away was Thiago again. Just it down as Gutierrez tried to make the break, and yet again the move petering out. Haven't been able to get as much supply to Cardoza and Sanabria as he did in the first leg, curiously enough. Well, I think there was an appeal there by, I think it was Palinha for a free kick. And many times have they been picked up in midfield like that This is the rock they're perishing on, this midfield, dual midfield at times, defensive lineup of the Brazilians. Hooked away there by Vitor. Paulinho comes in, that surely is a free kick, I would have thought, yes. Did the referee right on the spot. And there's Zeti giving the instructions. Could they be vulnerable to a ball in the air? As I said, they don't play this kind of ball all that often. Meant for the outside, it's still not cleared, and there's a very clever header back there by Junior Baiano. Takes a bit of experience, the ex-Flamengo player, and a crowd of players just to touch it back to the goalkeeper like that. There's no offside, or is there? Yes, there is now. And yet, only one goal in it. Well, that was quite close, that, actually. Remember the commands to referees around the world, especially during the World Cup, that they only had to pull somebody up offside if it was directly interfering with the play. And these directives, of course, are left to the interpretation of the referees and linesmen, and not making it at all easy for them. Well, yet again, it's bogged down in midfield, and this suits the Brazilians. There's the better ball, Ayula. That's his pace again. Who's inside him? Got to cut it back, and a brilliant recovery there. Ramirez did superbly well to cut right back, because he's got enormous pace, this man. Look at that beautifully judged tackle. And I think everybody is now clear that the tackle from the rear, if cleanly and correctly and legally done, is perfectly permissible. Thank heavens that's been clarified. An important element of the game. Goal kick. And under 15 minutes remaining, it still remains 2-1 in aggregate, no scoring on the night. Hooked firmly away. Valberg getting his boot behind it. And Junior picked up in midfield there. Franco tried to get it, and I think an accidental clash, or was it? No, I think that with the benefit of that slow motion replay was really a dreadful foul. And look who does it again. It was Caceres. Now, he did it in the first half, and the referee did absolutely nothing about it. And I'm now putting a black mark, if not the skull and crossbones, beside the name of Caceres. That's dreadful. I mean, the referee has been up with play. Now, is it any surprise the Sao Paulo player is still down there? Just a blot on the referee, the Peruvian referee. Senor Tejadas. Olimpia tried to put the pressure on, and Vitor just nudges it away. Campos on as a sub, and certainly playing very well away on the left-hand side. And they're remaining cool, and that was Yilmaz. Just about 12 minutes left. And all they're doing is allowing Olimpia to come just to about there, and although it doesn't look very pretty, it's effective. Might get the corner kick off this, and they do. Well, if Olimpia do pull off something of a miracle and go through, I hope the referee in the double-legged final keep their eye on Caceres. Virginia Caceres, would you believe? That's his name. Back there, and well taken by Zetti. Was a bit under pressure there from Cardozo. Nicely curled corner kick. Seemed to come off his shoulder rather than the head. But he was behind it well, Zetti. Now built up. Pushed away by Guilin, not terribly effective. And a yellow card. Yes, the referee brings that out. Let's watch this again. Digging in. Well, I think that was an act of retribution. And look at the players round him. That, I think, well, there's a lot of confusion going on. There must have been a protest and retaliation. Don't think there's any doubt, because the referee right on top of that, with Palinha getting the yellow card. Now watch this again. I think an act of retribution, as I said, and they're going right in there as well. And the man going off for that, I think both for the tackle, I think he also complained to the referee, is Ramirez. Well now, that comes from that clash with Palinha. And I suppose you might say it's justice, rough justice in a sense, for what Caceres has been doing out there. Still remains on the field, and now his teammate Ramirez is off after that clash with Palinha. Down to 10 men, and I make it just about 9 minutes remaining. 2-1 down in aggregate they are, and so little time left to save this game. Beautifully brought down by Zetti there. Now the break. There's the pace. Oh, the goalkeeper had to come out, as once again they left that man Iula with a blistering pace, with so much space behind the defence. Well, listen to the choral background now. Try to push them on now. And in this adversity, down to 10 men, I think they'll get some inspirational backing from the crowd. Just under 8 minutes remaining. Pereira honours a sub. Pereira with a shot. Oh, beautifully saved, but no, there he is. They've done it. Pereira got the final touch. It was a decidedly untidy goal, and for the second time in the game, the goalkeeper, Zetti, had played the ball onto the post. An excellent initial save, but all credit to the substitute Pereira for rushing in on that. And they have been saved. There was a touch onto the post, a difficult, awkward ball, and then courageously, Pereira with the feet flashing round his head, bows down with a degree of grace, and look at it. That's the equalizer on aggregate. And so little time left, and Paulo, who so much controlled this game, moved it in the direction of midfield in particular, would have nullified so much of Olimpia's play, are now back to level terms, and this stadium is heaving. Now, could they pull it off? They've looked none too clever in the second 45 minutes, apart from the opening 3 minutes. Played there by Gueland. Away by Junior. Up in the air by Sanabria. This is dangerous. Junior again. Back by Palinha now. They're playing the ball about, looking for the 1-2s. Great play though. Away goes Campos. And you could see that act of great determination. And now they're showing spirit, and sometimes that can pull up the most mediocre of sides, and they'll be certainly mediocre in the second half. 2-2 in aggregate. Good run round the outside. Appeals for a penalty. Now the referee waving play on. He's already turned down a reasonably strong penalty claim in the first half. Just about 5 minutes left. Wants to play it back to Campos. There we are, inside the last 5 minutes. And they had seemed so well organized and cool in defense. I think that goes into the category of scrambled goal, but all credit to them. And the capacity crowd of 40,000 really behind the side now. They were turning against them earlier in this half. Gilmar pushes it forward. Oh, and you can see the way the Olympian players have grown in stature after that equalizer. Playing it wide, Muller inside. Easily tackled. He's had a rather austere game. The great attacking has come from Iula on the left, on the right rather. Player that reminds me at times of Bebetu, his physique. Rather slightly built, but fast and sharp. Hooked away forward by Sanabria. And now they've got to keep possession and keep cool. Remember, we go to a penalty shootout. If it stays like this, 2-2 in aggregate. And outnumbered, Sao Paulo giving that ball away too easily. They've got to keep the ball up this end of the field. Moved away forward by Sotelo. I get the impression that some of these Brazilian players are tiring. This is the other Sanabria, Miguel Sanabria. Nice play by Cardozo. And that's the way they want to play, even coolly at this stage. Sotelo doing brilliantly. They're trying to draw the Brazilians out. I make it about just under 3 minutes remaining. Still 2-2 in aggregate. That's better play. This is the man I was talking about that sometimes reminds me of Bebeto. Still a way to go to equal that man, but has that same kind of ephemeral touch. That's a free kick. Well, it looked like it from, and I think the Brazilians thought like me too. Referee waves play on. And listen to the crowd rising to them again. Ball played wide. Gutierrez. Touched away. Just about a minute remaining. Some very tired players out there. Well, that was meant for Müller, and I think he was brushed off the ball. And the referee, Peruvian referee, is turning out to be rather lenient towards the Olimpia players now. High and deep and neatly flicked away down the side. Doriva tried to push it away down again to Iola. By my watch, time is virtually up. Maybe some stoppage time. Played there by Vitor. Dangerous ball. Müller hovering at the back as pushing forward. Palinha came up. Referee with his eye on his watch. I think you saw him take a brief look at it. I make it we're now into stoppage time by about 30 seconds. That's not the official time, of course. Still 2-2 in aggregate. Well into stoppage time, and the referee, all eyes on the referee in fact. Looking very closely at him. Let's see what's going to happen when this kick is taken. Television director focusing on the referee as he brings it to an end. There we are, 2-2 in aggregate. So near yet so far for Sao Paulo. They did not perform at all attractively in this game, but I think they came simply to function principally as a defensive side wishing to counter-attack. Almost came off for them, held it to 2-1 until 8 minutes to go, and the substitute Ferreira, a rather scrambled goal, but certainly very meaningful because we now go to the penalty shootout under dramatic circumstances, because of course the Sao Paulo team have experience of that from 2 years ago against the Newell's Old Boys from Argentina in the final of the Copa Libertadores. Now the semi-final is coming to an end. We'll be back for the penalties. There are some people who don't like penalty shootouts. They believe they're rather harsh, and of course FIFA has cogitated dramatically about whether there should have penalty shootouts or sudden death or that old NESL system of running from the halfway line with the ball, and all sorts of things. But it remains a penalty shootout like the World Cup itself. The World Cup final, of course, finished dramatically that way after a rather dour and negative game. This wasn't entirely dour and negative, but it certainly didn't send any sparks flying, and now we get to the penalty shootout, and there's almost a love-in going in that center circle there. There's harmony or people trying to get comfort from one another. Look at this. Rather unusual. It's almost like a chorus line. Hope it doesn't catch on, actually. And forward we go for the first penalty, and that is Battaglia, the Olimpia goalkeeper. The team which fought back 8 minutes to go to equalize the aggregate score to 2-2. And now here comes the goalkeeper to face up to what is an agonizing, but nevertheless, for the spectator, highly dramatic finish to a football match. It is so important. I talked to Paddy Bonner, the Celtic and Republic of Ireland goalkeeper before the World Cup, who said really the onus is not on the goalkeepers, it's on these players. There's Paulinho, for example. It's on the players, not the goalkeepers. The goalkeepers are hardly going to be blamed for mistakes. So I think he's been very sporting saying that. Of course, Bonner had a tremendous game against Romania and saved penalties there. The World Cup in Italy. Now Paulinho, Copa Libertadores semi-final, second leg. Oh, and it's saved! This stadium erupts. Well, getting back to what Paddy Bonner said, was it a player mistake, a poorly taken penalty, or did the goalkeeper guess right? I think a combination of both. Paulinho, one of the star players, misses out. And now the next one, Cardozo. In goal, Zeti. So, a vital miss, and look at the chorus lines joined together. Easily done. And once again, the crowd round this stadium, absolutely delighted. They're now in front, 1-0. Certainly Zeti did not guess correctly. And now we've got Muller. Nice, friendly, relaxed smile as if they were just meeting each other in the park. A little bit of gamesmanship going on there. And I wonder underneath that smile if Muller is really fomenting. Muller with it. After that, Paulinho, Messi badly needs it and does it. Even though, again, Battaglia guessed correctly. That just squeezed in between the goalkeeper's right hand and the post. Good effort by the goalkeeper again. It brings it back to 1-0, but of course, there we are. But of course, they have that added penalty kick. This time it's Sotelo. Sotelo played very well in midfield for Olimpia. One each. He could put them in the lead with that advantage again. Oh, no doubt what he had in mind. Sometimes players try to mesmerize the goalkeepers, try to outwit them. On this occasion, Sotelo was just blasting it through an open door. There we are, 2-1. And now Battaglia. Important one for him. This is his very swift player, Iula. Oh, he did that well. And I still retain my comparison with Bebeto about this player. There's just a look about Bebeto off him. I think Bebeto would be quite proud of a penalty like that. Took it away, inclined to the right and shoved it the opposite way. 2-2, but still the advantage with Olimpia. Zeti in goal. Director fascinated by the goalkeeper. This time it is Zanabria. Vidal Zanabria. Oh, there's a great save by Zeti. And almost an exact replica. Just watch that. And anything Battaglia can do, he can do just as well. Watch the little bounce of the goalkeeper and guessing right. And yet I put that down to a badly taken penalty. Coming up to take this, Gilmar. Tense moment in the stadium. Sao Paulo have pulled themselves back again. Oh, he did well because Battaglia had moved just that little instant there. And back he goes, delighted. All goalkeepers in any case move before a penalty kick is taken. It's one of the most difficult things to appraise for a referee. Look at all that movement. And Zeti in the background as Sao Paulo go in the lead in this interesting situation, and up comes the other Sanabria, Miguel Sanabria. And almost, well, a relative hush descended on the stadium now. So much depends on this. No doubt about that. How difficult it must be. It's all very well for us to sit at the side and spectate at the side and imbibe all this pressure and love it as a dramatic end to a game, but oh dear, for players themselves. And he was so cool in taking that. So 3-all. Both missed, one each. Really got to put this away. And does. That was almost struck with contempt, as if to say we're not at all scared being in the stadium away from home in front of 40,000 hostile supporters. They're in the lead. Forward, Campos. Got to put this away. It is tense. And that eruption of noise seems a long while ago. Oh, he's missed it! The Brazilians can break ranks now. They are through for the third year in a row to the final of the Copa Libertadores. And anguish for the Olimpia player there. I think nerves got the better of him. Faced by Zeti, he had to score to keep them in. And almost a Roberto Baggio finish there. Harking back to the World Cup final itself. And a wonderful, sustained performance by Sao Paulo over these years. The World Club champions are back in the final, and there, no commiseration is possible for the coach of Olimpia, Gustavo Benitez, but of course the old fox himself, Tele Santana, has done it again. The manager of Sao Paulo will be going forward to the two-leg final after a performance, I think, that was very much a replica of what they did in Japan against Milan, except there were more goals in that game. Very solid in defense, and of course that miss there, the miss that mattered. And Eurosport will be bringing you both legs of the final in the next couple of weeks. That's how it finished. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We've seen some splendid performances. This is Archie McPherson saying we'll be back next week with the final.